Hello everyone, it's the me again, Penguin21 today. Well, with the Palworld situation kind of wrapping up, I have one more little bit of clip to talk about, but this is more on Reforge Gaming, and we all know Reforge Gaming has his own way of doing things. I had another Reforge Gaming video. I think it's fully edited, and I might release that sometime this week if there's really nothing else, or maybe sometime next week, and just put like a little disclaimer at the beginning of it due to the audio or different stuff, because that audio was actually really good and I needed to, but still want to use it and stuff. So, yeah. But at the end of the day, he did talk a little bit about Palworld, and I wanted to talk about this, as well as one other clip to him. With that being said, I think that's really going to be it to start it. So again, the shilling out of the way, 1K by the end of the year. A subscribe would be very helpful to get that. To get to 1K would be very nice. Thank you very much. Your support is always loved in this community. Number 2, Visions Beyond has been released. The full album is available for download on Bandcamp, as well as the full album is available to listen to here on the channel. If you want to go and do that, it's very lovely to make music for you guys. If you want to support me in another way, that's another way to do it. And if I still do sound a little bit sick, it's because I'm still kind of getting over being sick, so that's kind of the point. In any case, with that being said, let's get started.
Yeah, Palworld, haha, suck it, Pokemon. And Pokemon's like, I'm sorry, what? We're a planet made out of gold coins. You think we're worried about Palworld?
Okay, so I know that I had to pause it a little bit quick there, but to be very quick on this, Pokemon did actually respond to the whole thing with Palworld. Now, the response is a little bit mid in saying that, oh, we're just going to investigate it, which they might not even come to fruition of anything, but just they are aware that Palworld is a thing, because how can you ignore like 8 million in a week and stuff? Like, I know that they're a money printing factory, but at this point, like, Palworld just came in and then just started to embarrass that. So
I remember last week when Lono said Palworld would not be successful. I never said that. That's completely untrue. I said that the trailers were vastly different than the IGN footage, and I was worried that people were going to boot it up on Game Pass and bail on it after like 10 minutes because it's very different than what the trailer said. I didn't say it would not be successful. I never said that. I was like, I don't know.
Really? Because it definitely sounds like you're saying that it wouldn't have been successful at all. Because you're saying that people would download it on Game Pass, play it once, and then walk away. That doesn't sound like a positive thing. That doesn't sound like encouraging to the developers. Because they're going to like do that. You can argue that that's true. This kind of brings up a little clip before, where it's like it's a whole 6-minute clip. I'll probably make its own dedicated video to it. But it was on the phrase, the game is trash, but you are allowed to like trash games. And how that whole thing, I said this on a stream with someone, but the whole thing with that was, that is a higher context conversation than Reforge Gaming apparently can understand. And it depends a lot on the high context, and that you have to understand that this is their opinion, which it's not even that high of a concept. They're just saying that they think that the game is garbage, but you're allowed to like garbage games. Like, that implies that the game itself is kind of garbage. And there's sometimes when that's actually very objective and not subjective. There's a lot of nuance to that, and I should probably save that whole conversation for that clip, but just know that this man apparently doesn't understand, like, context of what he's talking about, and he's a hypocrite for talking about this.
Oh, I was like, that 18 minutes from IGN doesn't look anything like those trailers. I was like, I think people are going to boot up their Xbox, see, like, Pokemon with guns, and they're going to download that game and be like, why am I punching rocks? And they're going to uninstall. I wasn't talking about the game as a whole, because it's actually doing far better on Steam than Xbox anyway, because what I said is happening. Like, look at the score on Xbox. It's like 17 points lower than Steam. Why? Because of exactly what I said. A bunch of people installed it on Game Pass. Like 20% of its scores on Xbox are 1 star. Do you want to know why? Because of exactly what I said. There's a bunch of people that saw Pokemon with guns and they installed it and they're like, I'm punching rocks. It has a much lower score on Xbox because of exactly what I said. I was like, the marketing doesn't line up at all with the content loop. Lono said the game wasn't what he thought it was going to be. Yeah, I said...
I mean, it couldn't at all be the fact that there was also major problems on Xbox as well. It couldn't also be the fact that Xbox is running a actually far inferior version than on PC, right? It couldn't possibly have anything to do with all that facts that it's also on a game preview, and console people are tending to be more brutal on game previews and like early access type games. Because, you know, they're used to the whole AAA quote-unquote polish. Plus, also, if you saw the IGN gameplay, right, and you saw that, and, like, that's available to be looked at, why would a person download this game without doing a little bit more research into what the game might be and find, like, oh, cool, I see the IGN gameplay. Like, why is that not a thing? Why would they not set their expectations accordingly to that? Like, that makes no sense to me. So, like, I mean, it's available. You can do it. You have the internet. You have the possibility to do that. So, yeah, it couldn't possibly be that those people are actually bringing out genuine criticisms. No. The consumer is stupid. I am not stupid. Therefore, I am smart. So, that's not how that works.
I didn't know it was going to be Ark Survival Evolved with Pokemon. I didn't know that. And I said, I think a lot of people are going to boot it up and be like, what is this? Trailer looked action adventure. The actual game is survival. Exactly, Jessica. That's all I was saying. I didn't say it's not going to be successful. I didn't say that at all. You guys always mishear and misrepresent. I didn't say that. I think it runs worse on Xbox. It also doesn't...
Okay. I mean, yeah, again, I guess that makes some sense. But again, talking down to a game like that doesn't mean that you think that it's going to be, like, successful. Because you said, the thing with that is that you specifically said that people would download it on Game Pass and that it wouldn't be successful. At least on Game Pass, which I can see that. Like, if you meant to say specifically it wouldn't be successful on Game Pass, and you were, or at least you were implying that it wouldn't be successful on Game Pass, that makes sense, you know? But implying it, again, is one of those things where, at the same time, it brings up the earlier conversation, and the conversation of the clip that I brought up, which I still haven't probably played, which was that someone calls a game garbage, but says that you are allowed to like garbage games. But, like, that's not, and, like, that's like giving your opinion as fact. But when you try to do that same thing and imply that same sort of metric, you're just not able to comprehend that sort of thing. So, I mean, it just kind of makes sense to me.
Help that Xbox has a version with less of the quality of life, for sure. But it also doesn't help that it sits on Game Pass and you look at a trailer and you're riding a dinosaur and shooting an AK-47 at Pokemon, and then you boot up the game and you're punching rocks. Like, a lot of people were like, this is not for me. Like, that's not hate. The game's crushing it. I had fun with it. The game's amazing. I did a show this week about it. It's called Nuance, right? I can say everything I just said about people booting up Palworld and being like, this isn't the game that I expected, and that's not hate. You have to create more compartments in your brain than just two. Hate or shilling. It's like, it's either one. It's like, no.
I mean, again, apparently now you understand nuance instead of, you know, when that viewer brought up that the game is garbage, but you're allowed to like garbage games. You know, when that was kind of like a thing. I know I bring this clip up and that this clip is pretty important, but just know that apparently, again, he's like one of those people that says that sort of thing. It's like, it's just interesting to me how he can, on one hand, say that he appreciates his viewers, but on the other hand, say that the people who are not members are like garbage and stuff. And it's like, it brings up just dumb hypocrisy that he's trying to like backtrack on some of the things that he says, and he backtracks on them in just like dumb ways. I mean, yeah, absolutely. It might not be successful on Game Pass, but I think that, like, that's the whole point of Game Pass, though, is it not? It's meant to not be able to fully commit to, like, a game. Plus, again, the whole narrative of, like, oh, it doesn't cannibalize sales. Like, no, it doesn't, for, like, depending on the game. I think it's, like, a game-by-game basis thing. Palworld made all the money, so... No. You know?
You can be honest about the fact that plenty of people booted up that game on Xbox and said, this really isn't what I expected. And that's not hate. That's just a simple observation. Even John Linneman from Digital Foundry said that he felt the marketing was misleading. It's vastly different than what you do in the early stages of the game. The vibe of the trailers and the vibe of the game are very different. It's an amazing game. You can have a great game where, you know, the marketing was a little, you know, it was a little juiced. You know, they showed all the best parts. They showed all the action. They didn't show you hitting trees and rocks to build a table.
So, like, when Palworld does and shows the best new parts of the game, like, that's a little bit dubious. But when PlayStation does the exact same fucking thing for their games, their first-party titles, right? That's good, and that should be touted as a good thing, because that sells the game. Like, you get why that's a little bit hypocritical, right? If you're applying that sort of thing to Palworld, and saying that Palworld's dubious marketing campaign is not coherent of the final game, then let me bring up Spider-Man 2 and say that I don't think that marketing sold the game really well. Like, it was good marketing, it had some interesting and fun moments, but it didn't sell the game the way that it probably should have. Because it didn't, like, show the fact that you were playing a lot as Mary Jane, or that you had like one mission as Venom, and like that whole cutscene that they do, that like the main cutscene that they tried to use for it is just like towards the end of the game, or towards like the part of the game that like it's not fun, right? Or that Sandman mission wasn't as entertaining, and it was very like cinematic heavy. Like, it doesn't show that. But yet, that sells the game, because that's what the game is. Even though, like, most of the other runtime of the game, as well as a lot of side quests, and you catching things like pigeons and stuff like that, and doing all the side missions and things. Like, that clearly the marketing sold the game of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. Would do it by showing, like, all the side missions and the boring shit. Right? Like, that's not how marketing works. You get that, right? Like, it's marketing. Anyway, I think I'll end it there, actually, because, quite honestly, I don't really want to talk about this anymore. But I think that this kind of shows, and is an interesting talking point that's kind of gotten swept under the rug, because Reforge just has some of the most... to steal a word from Sanity, it has some of the most flaccid takes I've ever seen in a man sometimes. It's wild. In any case, I think that'll about do it for this video. Again, if you want to catch Visions Beyond, it's on the YouTubes, and it's on the Bandcamp. If you want to talk, if you want to support me here, a like and subscribe is nice. I do stream on Twitch, mostly during the weekends. Check the Twitch in the description, because I continuously forget to post community posts here. I used to, but I continuously forget to, and I'm sorry about that. I should do more. And yeah, it's really all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and a peace. Off.